I mean, you've been in real estate a year now.
I've been in a year.
That's what to talk about.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about. A lot has happened.
Like, yeah, I mean, really, we're doing this here today, and everybody just joined us. I'm here with Audrey Kraft, our new buyer's agent.
Hello.
So we are, you've been in real estate a year now, because you got your license. When did you get officially pass your test?
December 22nd.
22nd, okay, of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So you have fully been in it, or almost fully been in a year now.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, I mean, I have a lot of people that, ask me what it's like to be a realtor, and, we try to give our best input to them on, like, what it actually takes in your first year, try to describe that. So today, it's kind of the goal of, okay, well, what does it take? Because you're that first year in, like, you're fresh coming out of it, out of it still. Like, what was the... First of all, like, school. How did you pick what school you went to?
Honestly, I took Jordan, your advice, and did the online ed. And there was one other option, but that one was looked like it was the best too. And they had online modules, and then you could also get books. And I like taking notes and highlighting, and so I got the books to go along with it. Yeah. And they had it all laid out. It was pretty. I
think online ed is the best one. I did pro schools when I did it, and you couldn't retake the test at the end, like the big quiz over and over. Whereas online ed, I think you can take the final as many times as you want, and that way you can practice the questions, because some of the questions are literally from the practice test. They're literally on the state test.
Okay, yeah, they are. No, and that was nice. So it was kind of broken out into different sections, and then within each section you had different modules and chapters, and they tested you along the way, which was really nice, because then you could recap and see what you learned and what you didn't understand. Or
I don't learn anything the first time I read it.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that's how it felt.
So I guess going back to, like, before school, people that are wondering, should I get into real estate or should I do real estate? What was the thing that actually made you go, you know what, I'm going to jump? So what were you doing before real estate?
Yeah, well, good question.
Or tell people.
So, before real estate, I was a home program manager for a young guy with autism. Yep. And so I managed his team of 9 staff at his home, and basically kind of helped make sure his life was going smoothly, and helping him be as independent as possible. And then I also worked for his mom's family business in their office. So I had kind of the office side of things.
So you were well established there. I mean, that was like you were in. Because how long were you at Griffin's?
So I worked with Griff for 8 years. Okay. Yeah,
that's a long time.
Yeah, it was 8 years. Yeah, it was a long time. But the first 4 were broken up because I went to college. So those 4 years, I'd work with him over the summer and on the holidays. Yeah. And then when I came back in 2014, that's when I really got in the management role of his team, and kind of became the lead program manager, which was really neat. It was really rewarding. So I was very happy with that job. I loved it. But my husband, kind of on the side, he started a contracting business. And so also a little backstory for those listening who don't know. Jordan and I actually went to kindergarten together. True, through school.
Emmaus, shout out. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So we went to a small private school together. And so we've known each other a very long time. Yeah. And through Emmaus, Jordan, and my husband became really good friends. And then, our paths crossed down the line. And Will and I my husband ended up getting married. And so him and Jordan were still really good friends. So we've, had connections through life. And through the years, Jordan had said, "Hey, Audrey, you should consider real estate, I think you might like it."
Well, I don't know, what actually made you be like, okay, it's enough. You love Griffin's Place, but you're actually going to make the jump into real estate because once you got licensed, you pretty much
went for it.
You went for it. You didn't do part-time. You were full-time realtor when you jumped in. It's like, what?
So,
people are looking for like, when do I know to pull the trigger?
So I think it was those seeds that you had planted of like, hey, you should think about it. And then as time went, Will getting his contracting license and doing like that side. So he did a lot of like house work and working with realtors and stuff, so I got to see kind of a different side of it, and we talked about developing our businesses together and kind of being self-employed and going down that route. And so that seed Jordan had planted a while ago, I just started thinking about it and asked if I could shadow and just learn all I could. So
that was awesome. That amount of initiative that you showed when you first, when you started was key, really. And looking at people that are getting into real estate, it takes a lot of work that first year. So that's always something that when you're asking people like how to get into real estate, if they're doing, it's just easy.
It does.
There's some aspects
a lot.
to it.
There are, and so I was lucky to have a fully unfiltered perspective, I think, from your view, and then just kind of wanting to eventually work with my husband kind of on different realms where we could have businesses that worked well together. That's
a lot of couples are like that. I mean, me and Nicole having her, with nursing and managing a lot of our social media and working on the team a lot as well. That is something that's nice when you're able to work with your spouse. You get off the 9 to 5, but it does come with a lot of sacrifice for sure.
It does.
So I guess you decided then you're just gonna to make the jump from when you decided that. How long did it take you to finish the educational portion of it?
Oh man, so I wanted to just get that done.
Yeah.
So it took me about 3 months to do the schooling.
Yeah.
And so do the schooling, take the test, and be done with all the requirements I needed to become a realtor.
Yeah.
It was
because that's the crazy thing. Like once you pass the test, you're a realtor. Like you can go sell a house. Like the next day you can go. So I mean, you have to have a company and there's some details, but I mean, still you're pretty much you can just go sell a house the next day. So
license. Yep.
Yeah. So what was that first month like? You're out. I mean,
it was exciting. It was intimidating.
Yeah.
It was a lot of learning and growing and things that so my husband and I bought our house, and I thought, from that I have a decent idea of what all goes into even the paperwork side and like finding a house, making an offer, all of those pieces. And then as I became a realtor and shadowed Jordan, and learned more, I was like, wow, I did not know as much as I thought. There is a lot to it. And so that was pretty neat, actually, just to learn all the ins and outs and things that like our realtor, who was Jordan, to purchase our house, that he did behind the scenes that we had no idea was going on, and he just smoothly made sure it all happened correctly. And
well, there's a lot of moving pieces in it, and that's the tough part with school too. People are looking into it, and I mean, talking to Nicole, it's similar, like in the nursing world of some of the stuff you learn, you definitely will apply, that as soon as you get licensed, and a lot of the stuff doesn't necessarily come back around again. So it is getting that school knocked out and just getting done with that and starting to get real experience.
Yeah, being more hands-on. That's where it all... That's where I learned the most, hands down. Besides, in the classes you learn some, you get an idea, but
so in those 3 months, like how long were you? Like how many hours a day would you say you were putting into the class, or hours a week if you weren't doing it every day?
Each week my goal was to do 15 hours.
Okay.
So and some weeks were more, some were less, but about 15 hours a week.
15 hours.
Yeah, when you're working full time or really over full time.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's doable. You just have to treat it kind of like a job. Or like a class. Like, okay, I have to be there from, 5 to 8 or whatever you want to try to do each day, and then.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly. You're right. No, you did it the right way. So in the first month, so as you transition from Griffin's Place into real estate, we did a lot of training. Really, I mean, I guess this whole year we really have done a lot of training,
which is huge.
But I guess in regards to hours of where you're going, it's that trying to figure out where to put your effort in the first months, because I mean you can literally do everything from sending mailers to cold calling everybody, or just sitting at home doing nothing, or that's kind of there's no parameters in real estate of what you can do. So it's kind of what you decide. It's like, what did you kind of focus on in the first 3 months when you got licensed?
Yeah, well, what I found to be the most helpful was shadowing.
Yeah.
Because I learned by watching and then doing, and so I would just basically be Jordan's shadow and go around and see, and like just practice walking through houses, practice going to tour houses, meeting different people. All that was huge. Just
knowing how you learn. Knowing how you learn helps a lot, because for somebody that's getting into real estate, it's tough if you don't know if you're that visual learner, if you're hands-on, or if you have to read it, or for me, anything I read, it's in my eyes and I don't know where it goes. It doesn't stay anywhere. But if I hear it, it's there forever. So somebody identifying the learning style definitely can save some hours. In training the right way. And then so you were saying that we practice. We do a lot of practice. I've done a lot of practice in regards, and I think that's an underutilized area in real estate, is people actually practicing what they do, and like you were saying, practicing walking through a home. How to show a house, what's going to be the smoothest flow of
it seems silly, but it makes a big difference.
And the more houses you see, the better you get at it, because you'll realize when you walk into a house that's 50 degrees and you walk into a house that's 70 degrees, it's a real quick shock of saying, oh yeah, your house, it's worth keeping your house warm, even if it's vacant, pay the bill, because it shows completely differently, and as a realtor you need to know all that stuff. So, and you knocked all that out very quickly, and you really had a huge learning curve on that. So I guess in that first 3 months then, so you were focusing really on shadowing. We were doing a lot of ride-alongs.
I did a lot. Like, our office has weekly meetings, so I'd go to those and just try to pick up any and everything that I could from what they talked about and what other people were talking about or sharing, So
how long did it take you to get your first lead or your first client you were actually working with?
That's a good question. I know I closed on my first house in April. I closed actually on 2
So closing, April. So you're probably 30 or 45 days before that.
I think my first lead was in February. So really it was about 2 months, a month and a half that I had my first lead, that I went by myself, met them, and was confident enough, thanks to all the training I had and practice we'd done, to talk to them about the house, because each house is so different, and that's another thing that the photos don't do it justice. So you can get as prepared as you'd like for looking at listings and stuff, but really when you go there, that's when it does make a difference. So from what I'd learned from you, being able to do that and help answer people's questions and just help them evaluate a home, figure out what they want, what they don't want, what they like in the houses, and
and I think that timeline is a really often, a question that most everybody asks is, how long is it before you sell your first house? And frankly, a month and a half for your first lead is not bad at all, getting a client that quickly. That's pretty dang quick. And then, realistically, it takes a couple weeks to find them a house, and then it takes, especially in, different times a year, based on the client, sometimes they walk in and, the first one, this is the one, and sometimes you're 25 houses in and you still haven't really narrowed down what they're looking for, and so it does depend upon the client. So I guess coming around that 4 months is about that timeline until you actually saw a check, and then those checks when you're first starting, you don't see the whole check.
Right.
Because you have desk, you have office fees and desk fees and admin to pay and, a lot of it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, you're seeing probably, what did you say, half, if half
Yeah.
of the first checks. That's probably, I mean, that's when I started, I'm thinking probably 6 checks until you kind of start getting ahead, or maybe a little more than that even.
Yeah.
Depending on how you go about it.
Yep. I think that sounds about right.
About right.
There's a lot of fees that go into being a realtor, and they are worth it, but it is, when you're first starting out, it can be a lot.
Well, that's the other thing is too, I mean, like, you have your first client, then you go, oh, you close a house in 4 months, but then once that's closed, you have no more clients. I mean,
unless you haven't been, you have to keep laying groundwork and reaching out to people and
How did you feel?
Clients.
Because I know, I mean, everybody that knows you knows you're, I mean, like the best intention. I mean, nobody can not like Audrey. Like that is like it has to be impossible. So it's like, how did people kind of first receive it when you told them that you were getting into real estate or that you were a realtor? Because you kind of have to let a lot of people know around you when you start, because if they don't know you're a realtor, that there's no way that they're gonna ever have a chance to reach out to you. So like, how was that taken? From friends, family, people you knew when you first got in?
It was a mixed bag, I'd say.
Yeah.
Mainly excited. Some people did take a little while to come around, because it was a drastic career change from what I was doing. And so it kind of took some people longer to process. But once they did, everybody's been pretty excited and supportive. And always wanting to know, like, how's it going? Or, how's the market? That's the question. And so it's been very positive. But at first people can be a little standoffish. You do get that feeling. But
it makes sense. I mean, a lot of realtors are. I mean, there's some realtors, I would say a vast majority have good intentions, but there's always the ones that are trying to just coax people in, or sell them some snake oil, or it's that okay, I'm really here to actually try to help versus just trying to get paid, and that's, I think a lot of people approach it from the side of, oh, well, there could be good money in it, versus how can I help people, how can I actually look out for their best interest, and always keep that in mind. And that's something that's nice when you're working with your client, your own clients, and know that I know, with you always have your clients in mind, and that's your goal always. And that is tough, because it's hard when you first meet a realtor to know whether they're the real deal or whether they're just a veneer, or what they're what they're really about. And and sadly you don't see that until halfway into the deal usually, because it's usually when something goes wrong or something is sideways, or where your character gets tested.
Yes, no, that is very true. And I think I've been fortunate as far as that goes too, to have that in my training, is the educational piece. And really we are just here to be a guide and a helper, and get the client into their best situation and what they're looking for. And that's one thing I've really loved about it, because each person is so different. So it's it's never boring. You get to know people from all walks of life, and you get to learn their stories, and then really figure out what works for them, and you get to cater to helping them meet their needs, and it's so cool. And well,
that's the most fun. I mean, like, out of all of my, like, everybody I've helped buy a home, I've never really met anybody that I didn't like. Because in real estate, I mean, you get to know them so well that like, in the beginning, your first meeting, they might be a little standoffish, or they might be like, well, what are you, are you trying to sell me something, or you actually have my best interest in mind? But like, as you're, we're with people for so long that you actually get to see that relationship develop, and that's the fun part, is when you have somebody that, didn't trust you and didn't know that, or didn't know you from anywhere before. And then by the end you're hugging and you're your best
like
friends.
Family.
You can stop by anytime. And I think that's one of the most rewarding parts of real estate is for me, like, my friends are my clients. I mean, I have some friends, like, normally like you and like you and Will, people around, but it's real estate is a pretty all-encompassing career, and that a lot of the people that you work with do end up becoming lifelong friends. And
Yeah.
And getting to know them. So I guess moving through your year.
Yes.
So your first 3 months, you got a deal. You were closing it right at that 4th month. So during that home transaction, that first one, were you doing a lot of prospecting, or I guess how long did it take for you to get your second? Like, how did that come into fruition?
Well, it worked out great because kind of like what we'd said, making sure that you are still reaching out to people and connecting, and not just, okay, I'm in a deal, I'm not going to do anything else, like you have to keep that prospecting going. And with that, my second deal, I closed right around the same time as my first deal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was, the first deal I closed, it was what we talked about, like a longer looking period, so it took a little bit longer for them to find the one and close. So the second one was a little bit quicker, and it was just staying in touch with people, making sure you keep in touch with your leads and going to look at houses. You don't stop, you just keep working. And yeah.
And in the beginning, I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice. Kind of going back just a little bit, what would you say you decide, because you have to kind of pick what you're going to give up, to be able to be successful in real estate, or to be able to really knock that first year, and kick its butt. For you, what did you sacrifice, or what did you say that was your biggest?
The biggest thing for me, which actually also ended up being one of the greatest feelings ever, is that I started learning how to say no to people, or not, just saying, okay, I can, I wouldn't commit to as much things, because I was always a master at over committing myself.
Overscheduling.
Or I'd want to go see these people, or these friends, these family members. So just getting a better balance and being like, okay, maybe I'll come to this get together, or and
it's tough when you have to show property at 4:00 in the afternoon on the day before Thanksgiving, and family's coming over. You're like, okay, I want to, you want to always be there, but
you can't always make weekend plans, or go to the beach with friends or family. You say, maybe if I don't have any showings scheduled, then maybe. But you have to keep your schedule pretty open, and that it ended up being a nice change actually, to just have that flexibility in a way. But you have to be ready to drop and go. So it could, it's a Wednesday now, I could get a text message and say, hey, can we go look at this house tomorrow? And you got to be available to go do it.
Or Saturday and Sunday, and then your weekend's gone, and definitely, that's exactly. Well, you have to be happy. I mean, it's exciting, especially when those calls come in and you go, hey, can you take us a look at a house on Saturday? And you had plans to do something Saturday. But it's still really exciting in your career as it starts to grow. And it's just, the mentality that you want to, or that you're taking, because people can, I mean, there are part-time realtors out there, of course. And, for somebody that says, I want all my weekends and I want to be home by 5 every day. Can you do real estate? I mean, you can do it, but it's just what level of success are you going to achieve? And I think that's a kind of realistic thing for people that are thinking about getting into real estate, is it really is a direct reflection on how much you're willing to sacrifice to how much you're going to, be able to gain or accomplish your goals. And, some people, I mean, success is defined so much differently. It's people, some people want to make $50,000 a year, some people want to make 100, and some, people want to make, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and they really shoot for the sky, but it always takes some type of sacrifice, it seems like. Yeah,
it does. But I think when you enjoy it, when you enjoy what you do, and you enjoy meeting the people, and just them being excited and being able to be a part of something so monumental in their lives, it's exciting. And so it's you get driven and look forward to helping them, so it doesn't feel as like a big burden to like give up some of those sacrifices. But there's things you have to be aware of.
Well, and you owe a lot. I mean, we owe a lot to our families and friends, and people that just to understand that. Because you're late to the party, or because of something in that first couple of years, that it's not that you don't care or you don't want to be there. It's just the fact that you're sacrificing. You're doing what you have to do, and when you're, you don't get home until 7:00 at night or 8:00 at night, and Will has dinner made for you, or Will's not home. You guys have a pretty hectic life in that scenario.
Yeah.
But you do have to be on the same page of, when I come home late, Nicole's is awesome about, we can, or being very understanding about, what the career really takes and to achieve what you want to achieve.
That is a big thing. Having a supportive partner and family.
Yeah.
It really does go a long way.
Yeah.
Really Those nights when Will makes dinner are really nice. Wink, wink.
Will, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Get on that one.
Yeah.
So I guess then working through your 6 months, because you closed a decent amount of deals during the summertime.
Yes.
Because you wrapped up the year. I mean, you've sold basically a house a month.
Yeah.
From really when you started getting active, you've sold 10 houses this year. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of business for a first year realtor. So you've been exposed to a lot of situations and a lot of transactions. How did were most of them in the summer? I can't remember the exact dates on when everything happened.
Yeah.
When did you kind of see that influx of people?
It was mainly in the summer. I'd say between June and September were the peak months that it did all happen. And
do you think you got licensed at the right time, or do you wish you would have been licensed in like the previous September?
No.
Or was that the right time to kind of jump in?
I think it was the perfect time.
Yeah.
And maybe it is even just how my brain processes things, but it was going into a new year, so it was a new career, a new start, a new thing. You jump right in and you go.
Yeah.
It's not, the wrapping things up at the end of a year. And not that a month to month is really that different, but it did just seem like, okay, we're launching. And, each year is so different, but it is typical. Like everyone knows, the winter months can be slower in real estate. And
how far do you have to look out, or how far do you feel like you look out on a daily basis? I mean that kind of the real estate market, because that is a fine balance of real estate. The market changes, pretty drastically from in a 3-year period. It can.
Yeah.
We look back 5 years back from now to when I started. I mean, the market was a lot slower. People were gaining equity at a normal rate, but there was no way we could foresee the crazy equity gains that we've had in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So like for you and your business, I mean, I know that we've done a lot of business planning for 2019. I mean, how do you feel, or I guess when did you, in the process, how far ahead have you been trying to think in the first year? Or what would you recommend people to think if they're getting in?
Like, think ahead as far as for your business goals go?
Yeah, for business goals. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Not getting stuck in that, to prevent them from just closing the year out, and then you wake up January 1 and you have nothing again.
Definitely,
you have to start over.
Yeah. I think it's something that evolves. It's like having goals. Like, I think it's been helpful for me to have even just 2 big picture goals, because then you don't get too overwhelmed, and working towards those, and then having some smaller goals, and then hitting those, and once you do, evolving and having a couple more. So you're always climbing the ladder, I guess. Essentially you keep working towards the next thing, but that way it just chunks it down into smaller pieces to tackle.
Well, you did a great job of writing out your goals and knowing what you were shooting for. I know, within months you were already a buyer specialist. So setting those goals, and now I know you're working on the listing specialist now, and like you're pretty close to that one being
getting
done.
There.
Yeah. And knocking those out and getting that done definitely helps. But it's extra effort to do those classes on top of doing your daily activities and what you're doing to actually try and get business and property showings. It's more school.
Yeah. It is. It's more school, more tests or presentations.
But once you get done with it, it's a little more hands-on, like it is actual life skills.
Yeah.
How did you feel the buyer specialist class went? Or do you feel did that help you a lot from when you started to being able to actually work with buyers?
I think so, because I actually started it when I first started, which I didn't have much experience to relate it to.
Yeah.
And then you have to close so many deals. And so as soon as I got to that point, I had so much of a reference base and had been, each deal is so different. So you see a wide array of different things. And so having all that experience and then being able to apply it to the class again and even the materials that go along with the buyer specialist was really, really beneficial, I think, too, to just revisit that. And
well, it's nice to go back. You have to go back and relearn stuff, constantly, because it's, the more experiences you have, the more insight you can, I guess, achieve on what the class was talking about. So, like, for me doing it 5 years, I go back and I review the buyer specialist class, and it's like, you see different scenarios of, I could have used that here, or it was used here and it was, worked perfectly.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps.
And it sparks new ideas and it really just helps hone in your expertise and practice of it all too.
Yeah.
So I think that is a helpful class to take.
Yeah.
And have it as a certification.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we do a lot of, from your educational background and for, where we've went with the Miller team, we're really education based on, if anybody wants, whether they want to buy or sell a house or not, just saying, hey, reach out and talk to us, and we're happy to explain the industry, explain the business, explain the home buying process, even if they're not ready to buy at all at that time. So it definitely helps relate to more people and to provide that information. I think your educational background really helps. I know that, like, what you've always said to me is, you just always want to be learning, you always want to be growing, and you always want to be, giving back, to your community and to your friends and family, and trying to benefit them with your work. So, what are you focusing on now at the end of your first year? What have you been working on?
Well, you mean like going into 2019?
Well, thinking of going into 2019, or I guess let's go like a month back, because that's when the sales have gotten a little bit slower entering into these winter months and the holidays, and school's back in session. What have you been working on this last couple months?
Yeah, so I'm just working on refining my skills even more, because there are certain things you realize that you can develop more in real estate, and so just making sure that I'm practicing those and learning as much as I can from that, and those have been huge, and it's actually been kind of nice to have a few months to really get my skills honed back in to launch into 2019. And that's there's a lot of different pieces that do go into each deal, so you want to make sure it's kind of reflecting on what happened and maybe what could have gone better or what went well, and making sure that you learn from those experiences and take them all in, and be ready to fly.
That's how you quicken that learning curve, is to not make the same mistake twice. To learn from the past and what you did, and what you did right. As well as what could have went better, or what could have been cleaner. I mean, it really does help, and you do always have to have that point of reflection. And remember also, when you do get busy too, take that time to reflect. Like people are running around their first year, you got to slow down a little bit and just look at what you're doing and write out what you're doing, and keep that purpose. Going forward. So for 2019, what's your, if you had something for like your friends and family, or like, what's your goal? Like, for me, my first year was just letting people know I was in real estate, and, was trying to learn as much as I possibly could. And then year number 2 was kind of, all right, I want to get, more hands-on, speak with more friends, learn more of the educational programs. Cause then you have that confidence coming out of your year. I mean, I didn't sell 10 houses my first year in real estate. So,
you were
coming into that,
helping me sell this houses.
But it's still, it's still that work and lesson. So kind of what's your goal for your friends, family for 2019? Do you have anything?
I think it is like still just, cause like what you said, it's a big shift in people's thinking of you as a resource, as a real estate resource, and it takes time. There's I'd say probably half of the people now are like, I could ask this to Audrey, or
and you can answer any question, right? Pretty much, like in real estate. I mean, What's the spectrum of what you would want people to reach out to you?
Endless.
Yeah.
Well,
your husband's a contractor.
Yeah. So it is. I mean, that is very valuable to have his insight too. But I mean, really, just being a starting place for people is huge because we have so many resources that even if, like, I didn't know the answer, then I could connect somebody with someone who did know the answer.
Yeah.
Or I could reach out to get them the answer and then provide them all the information and resources and anything they would need. So there is I guess the capacity of what we can do is so huge that a lot of people don't know that, they can come to us with basically any house type questions.
Yeah, I mean, really, house, land, contracting, permits. I mean, any of that county questions,
taxes,
new development. Yeah. That is that fun part when you're able to help somebody and not even in the context of buying or selling. Just, hey, I'm thinking of adding on to my bathroom and what should I put a window here? Or how big should it be? Or what those little questions. That is something that you're really good at, especially with your eye of seeing layouts in homes and the experience you've had with Will, seeing a lot of remodels. It's like you have that pull to draw from this is right, and that remodel went sideways.
Or even like what should we do to build more equity in our house? Like we want to do a little remodel. What would be good? Those are all awesome questions that our team likes to help evaluate and answer, and so it can be some of those fun developmental pieces too.
Yeah,
which is good
for sure. Awesome. Well, I think that's about it for today.
Okay, great.
But thank you. We had an awesome 2018.
Yes, awesome. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Alrighty. Well, we'll see everybody around.
Bye.